Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how circuits look for variable resistors, sensors that are variable resistors. Okay, we're first going to look at an engine coolant temp sensor, which uses a thermistor, or in other words, a resistor that changes resistance as temperature changes. And then after that, we're going to look at a throttle position sensor, which is a type of potentiometer. Okay, this is a mostly complete wiring diagram. We're missing one thing, which we'll get to in just a minute, but let's take a look at how it looks right now. So we see our engine coolant temp sensor. There's our variable resistor. It's fed by two wires, both coming from our PCM. So the first wire is ground, and the second wire is a 5-volt reference wire. Okay, now the question always comes in, well, how does the PCM know the temperature change, or how does it sense the change in resistance out here if there's no sensor wire? Okay, and the answer to that is inside the computer. So this part right here you don't usually see on your wiring diagram, which is why it's good to know how it works. Inside the PCM there is a wire that comes off the 5-volt reference, and it's called a voltage sense wire. And it's pretty much the same thing as if you had a multimeter. So imagine that the computer has a multimeter on the inside of it, and all the time it's touching ground with one of its leads, and the other is touching right here. So it's doing a voltage drop measurement inside the PCM. So as resistance changes, we should see a voltage drop. Now this is where I get to the point where we haven't completed this wiring diagram yet. If this was how the circuit actually looked, and we were doing a voltage drop reading right now, we would always read 5 volts, no matter what changed out here on this resistor, because we are literally touching 5 volts and ground, and the difference between 5 volts and ground is 5 volts. So the piece that we're missing is another resistor right here. Okay, so since there's a resistor inside the computer that never changes, then we can actually see a difference. So if this resistor was always 2 ohms, and this one right now was 2 ohms, we could easily see that each resistor would drop half of the voltage, or in other words, 2.5 volts. But as this resistance changes with heat, we're going to see a different voltage drop right here. And that is how the computer can tell the difference, or see what's happening out here, and then in turn know the temperature of the engine. Okay? Now we're going to look at another wiring diagram. This is for a throttle position sensor, which is a type of potentiometer. Notice it has 3 wires, 1 ground, still have that 5-volt reference, but now we do actually have a signal wire. But the signal wire alone cannot tell the computer where the throttle is. You still have this voltage sensing wire right here. And you still need a fixed resistor inside the computer right there so that we can get a difference and measure voltage drop. Okay, so this is what the circuitry looks like on variable resistor type sensors, and I encourage you to watch my next video on the difference between pull-up and pull-down circuits.